Adam Castillo was last seen at about 2 a.m. on Sunday, September 14th, 2008, in Willcox, Arizona, at a party in the desert near Blue Sky Road, locally known as The Loop in Arizona, near Willcox. The party involved more than 25 people, and it appears that everybody made it home, except for Adam. All these years later, Adam's family still wants to know, what happened to their son? Where is their brother? What happened, and who is responsible? Hey everybody, and welcome to True Crime Paranormal with the Psychic Sisters. This is Katie Weaver, and I'm here with my sister, co-host, and partner in crime, Kristi Brower. Hello.
Hello. Hey, everybody. Happy Monday.
Yeah, Monday case already. Well, how's it going?
It's going pretty well. Just doing my thing. I have a sinus infection. Yay. Happy January to me.
Yeah. Boy, that's a January thing, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Damn it. But other than that, I'm great.
Good.
I'm really loving our new format. I just am having a lot of fun with this.
Me too.
I find that I may, throw a lot of humor in. But I tend to do a lot of things. But yeah, it's really a lot of fun.
I like it. I like it too. I like that it gives us a little bit more direction and options, and it's good.
Yeah.
It's a good thing.
I
Yeah.
think so. How are you?
I'm good. All is well here too. We spent a little time in Boise last week with the Boise kids, and we're headed to Montana sometime in the next week to take the other kid back for spring semester. So, I mean, it's hard to see that right now, but
Yeah, not feeling real springish out here.
Boy, no, it isn't. It's warmed up a little though. It's been as cold as like 25 below at her school. So luckily it's warmed up a little, so it won't be that cold when she gets back. But
Yeah, that does not way up in Montana. Yikes,
right?
cold.
Oy. Yep. It's been funny. Winter was late, but it's hit with a vengeance for sure. So
yeah, it was late, but like it's catching up. Yeah.
Yeah, but you got to think by this time of year, even days are a little bit longer. It's when I kind of start going, well, winter can't last forever because the days are noticeably getting longer. So
it is true.
We're going to get there. Anyway, all is well, truly. So good. Well, we're going to kick off today with a segment from Kristi for DNA for the Win. So I'm going to turn the mic over and get out of your way.
Let's do this. So, in good news in DNA for the Win, DNA for the Win is generally good news, but sometimes better than others.
Yeah.
43 years ago, there were 2 hitchhikers who were shot in the head in Klamath Falls, Oregon.
Okay.
In Klamath County. And it's been an unsolved double murder all this time. It was a young man and a young woman, Kirk Leonard Wiseman and Cynthia Lynn Frayer. They were 19 and 17, and they were just basically, they were on a little hitchhike about of Washington and Oregon. And
43 years ago, hitchhiking was pretty common.
Yeah. This was in November of 1978.
Yeah.
And, they were shot in the head several times with the .22. And unfortunately, Cynthia was also sexually assaulted.
Oh.
So the officer who was originally on scene, his name is former Klamath Falls Chief of Police Dan Toffel. He just could not ever let this one go. He said the scene was really gruesome. It was just not every day at all that he would find 2 young people murdered on the side of the road.
Yeah.
And so he just never really let it go. And so he hung on to it clear until he retired. And then he sort of passed it on as he retired and other people came on. This case always stayed in the back of their heads, because it was
Mhm.
just so senseless.
Yeah.
So they discovered that the kids had stayed a night at a motel in Roseburg, that they'd eaten at a restaurant in Grants Pass. They even found a letter that Cynthia had written to her mother that just said how much fun they'd had while they were in Washington State. Like, it was just
Mhm.
obviously these were just two kids out having some fun, and it just
Yeah.
seemed such a sad thing to
Mhm.
cut their lives so short.
Yeah.
So they they did bag and preserve quite a bit of evidence that they really honestly at the time of these murders didn't even know would be of significance, which is pretty amazing.
So
And they
visionary. We've seen that so many times. It's pretty amazing. I hope
haven't
that
we?
somewhere out there, there are all of these retired police officers and medical examiners that are going, I knew. I knew
Yeah.
someday this would be relevant, you know?
Right. Yeah, and that's clearly what they did here, because they hung on to some of Cynthia's clothing. And obviously that's
Mhm.
where the DNA was going to be found, was on her clothes.
Mhm.
So in 2019, this case landed on the desk of Detective Dan Towery. And he they had submitted some DNA and they got the hit back. Unknown male number one. So it didn't tell them
Ooh,
everything, but it did tell them that they actually did have the DNA of a male that was
not
not
them.
Cynthia's
Yeah.
traveling companion. Yeah, this was not
Mhm.
them. So they, hang on to that for a little bit more time. And then, of course, we know where do they go? Parabon Labs, because this is where everyone goes.
Yeah.
Um, he did have to, Towery did have to get permission, because the DNA to run this was about $8,000. And that's quite a bit for a case that's 43 years old. But he did finally get that permission. And so what they did, of course, was they used Ancestry DNA, and they did find who commit these murders, and his name was Ray Whitson Jr. And his DNA, of course, was found on Cynthia's body, but they believe that he killed both of them. Um, he died in Texas in 1996. He
Mhm.
had no other criminal history. But the family was able to confirm some things, that he did always carry a .22 caliber pistol with him, which is the same caliber that killed both of these young people.
Mhm.
Um, the area where they were killed is a place that he would have been frequenting at that time also.
Okay.
So, even the district attorney has said that this information would have been strong enough to prosecute him if he were alive
Sure.
today.
Wow.
So they do believe that, in fact, this case is considered now solved.
Wow.
It's pretty amazing 43 years later that the way that they preserved the evidence would still be good enough to
Mhm.
identify somebody at this point.
Absolutely. Wow.
So, Ray Whitson Jr., in absentia, because he's been dead a long time, but
Mhm. But hey,
he did commit this murder.
DNA for the win.
DNA for the win. Absolutely. All right.
Wow.
Well, I'm going to kick things over to you for the main event.
Yes, this is a listener recommendation, a listener requested case,
Hmm.
and it's a cold read. We haven't done a cold read forever. You know, somehow in the fall, about the time that the Gabby Petito case happened, we got really busy with current cases, and we haven't done as many old cases in a while.
It's
And,
true.
you know, some of you guys love the current cases, some of you love the old cases that we will cold read. Because, as you know, we will not cold read. We won't do a psychic reading on current cases because it's just not ethical. It's not okay.
No, it isn't.
Cases that are old, that have gone cold, we'll step up on those ones because we feel like that's a better place for our gifts to be served.
Right.
And so that's how we do it. And some of you, may agree with that, some of you may not, but we have to answer to our own ethics, and this is where it's at. So
Mhm.
at any rate, that's what we're doing. So Kristi, I'm going to actually ask you to cold read this case today.
Okay.
And this is the disappearance of Adam Castillo. So Adam was 21. He was headed out to a party. He was with some friends, some people that picked him up. Maybe not super close friends, but friends nonetheless. He lived in a town called Willcox. And Willcox, Arizona is really small, population around 3,500.
Okay.
It looks like actually it's a town that seems to be kind of dying. There's a
Mm.
lot of, from looking at it online, a lot of dilapidated buildings, a lot of commerce that's gone away. And there's people there that are fighting to keep their town alive and going. And the Castillos are some of them. And so, at any rate, very small town, but there was a birthday party happening for somebody that it sounds like they knew, maybe weren't super good friends with, but someone that they knew.
Mhm.
And this was on September 14th, 2008. So it's
Okay.
been quite a while ago. It was on a Saturday night. So at any rate, some friends picked him up. When they got there, he ran out to the car and jumped in without his phone or his wallet.
Mm.
Those both got left home.
Oh
So
dear.
yeah, it didn't seem like it was on purpose. It just, he left them. And, some people would never in a million years leave home without their phone. And some people do. you know,
Yeah.
I'm not one of them, but, you hear about people that just aren't, they're not that connected to their phones. But at any rate,
Mhm.
that's what happened. So we went to the party, and his sisters were supposed to go to the party too. But in the first car of the friends that went, there weren't enough seats for his sister to go to. And so he had just been through a breakup and had been really, really heartbroken and was really struggling. And so he had friends here, wanted to take him to a party. And so his sister was like, just go. I'll get a ride later. You just go have fun. You need it. You're
Yeah.
good. Well, they ended up not going. The ride that they thought they had never showed, and they didn't go. So the
So
next
Adam didn't
morning,
go or the sister didn't go?
the sister didn't go.
Got you. Okay.
Yeah, Adam and the friends went, but the sister did not, because for obvious reasons, because there wasn't a ride anyway. So this was some kind of a party out in the desert where there was a bonfire, and there were at least 25 kids there. And it seemed by the next morning, everybody else had made it home except for Adam.
Mm.
And I've been following his sisters on TikTok. They have a TikTok called Justice for Adam Castillo. And I think what I'm going to do is actually show you a TikTok from her talking about the day after what happened. I would rather hear it in her voice than in mine.
Sure.
So I'm going to share a screen here. And I think we'll just play this TikTok.
Okay.
Hey everyone, I just wanted to pop on here and say thank you for bringing Adam's case to light again. I also realized that I've never told his story here before, so I will. I know before I said I would be changing names, but I'm not. I don't care. I'm going to just state what I know happened, what happened that day, and what happened the following day that Adam went missing. That morning was a pretty basic day. It started off me and him smoking our morning cigarettes outside and talking about what we were going to do through the day. Earlier, my younger sister had told me that, there was going to be a party later on and, that we were invited, we should go. Adam had recently broken up with his girlfriend, Wendy, and, it devastated him. He was so emotional about it. He, just like any 21-year-old guy would, crying in his room, drinking, just being sad. So when we heard there was a party, we were like, yeah, dude, come on, let's go. Like, let's have some fun. You're all sad. Let's have fun. He was so in love with Wendy. So it hurt him so bad. And We just wanted him to be happy. We were even joking around like, hey, dude, maybe you could get a better girlfriend or something, you know, find another chick. You know, anything just to get his mind off of his broken heart because they were so in love with each other. So when we started getting ready to go to the party, Adam had already been drinking a little bit. And he was going in a car that fit 5 people. And he ended up going in the car with Cody, the driver, Levi, and little Gary, Kino, and himself. We realized that I couldn't fit in the car with him. So I told him it was okay. I could go later on with my younger sister, Eden, and, you know, we could all meet each other there. So before he took off, he said goodbye to all of us and said, all right, Mom, I'll see you in a little while. And my younger sister's friend never ended up showing up, so we never made it to that party. A little bit after he had taken off, I had a bad feeling, like it just wouldn't leave. So I called the only person I know that was in the car with a phone, which was Levi. So I called him up and I was like, oh, hey, dude, my spidey senses, they're tingling. Is everything all right? And he was like, oh, well, I just got in trouble. My mom called me, so I have to go home. Cody's taking me home, and we left Adam, little Gary, and Kino at the cattle guards with Armando. We kind of knew of Armando. I mean, it was Armando's birthday party. So we were like, okay, cool. We know that guy. I know the 2 other guys that he's with. He should be fine. I still had a bad feeling in my gut, but I tried to ignore it and was just hoping that he was having a good time. And the same with the rest of my family. We were just all hoping that he just was having a really good time. And that was the last form of contact that I had with anybody that night. The next morning, I woke up and hopped outside so I can go and smoke my morning cigarette. And as I was out there, I noticed that there was a car pulling into the driveway. So I was like, all right, cool. Adam's home. So I start walking up to the car, and I notice it's not Adam. It's little Gary and another guy driving. The first thing I noticed about Gary is his face is burned, and it's burned bad. It's burned from about like his chin up to his cheek. And he could barely talk. That's how bad it was. So I was like, dude, where's Adam? And he was like, oh, what do you mean Adam's here? And I was like, no, dude, he was with you last night. You know where Adam is. After I said that, he just looked at the dashboard with like really wide eyes and took a drink off of his beer and said, well, if Adam comes back, tell him thank you because I think he saved my life. After he said that, I was like, dude, what do you mean? And he just nodded to the driver and they pulled away. I didn't really know what to think of that, so I just went inside to tell my mom. It was at that point that I knew something really bad had happened.
So there you have it. That's in his sister's words, which I thought were, the best words to hear it in. So that's what happened. So after that, the police did question a lot of people in their town. They even closed the high school briefly to pull a whole bunch of students and question them. But there was a lot of small town circling the wagons and protecting each other going on. They actually did a raid that netted a huge amount of marijuana being seized and a bunch of people being arrested on other charges and stuff, but no answers in the disappearance of Adam. Of course, there have been some speculation or suggestions that maybe Adam just, maybe Adam just wanted to go. Maybe he skipped town. I think that's insane.
No.
Adam loved his family.
We always hear that stupid
as if that's just a real thing that people do,
As if that's just like a super common thing that happens. It isn't.
It isn't. I mean, people do that, but it's a rare thing. Adam and his family were really close. He had 3 sisters that I know of, really close. And they loved each other and supported each other. And this was not a thing that he was just going to do, just take off,
No.
But they just got no answers. So fast forward to a couple of years ago, and they came across Sarah Turney and her work in trying to find Alyssa and get justice for, find Alyssa and get justice for Alyssa, right?
Right.
And they decided that, hey, maybe that we could do that too, because Adam's case had gone cold many years ago, and there was
Right.
just nothing, just no information, no investigation really after a certain point, and there was just nothing. So they built this TikTok. They've been on a few podcasts. They got a little Dateline NBC coverage. They've really been trying to just keep Adam's case alive and keep people thinking about him and, wondering what happened to him so that someday, hopefully, his case will be solved. And of course, they have been, nursing their own broken hearts now for 14 years.
Yeah,
So, at
that's a
any
long
rate,
time.
that's pretty much all we know. There's just not a lot. But, Kristi, I think that that's enough information to punch it over to you and ask you if you want to give it a cold read.
Yeah, definitely. Adam was killed accidentally in a fight. I do feel it was one of those one and done kind of punches that we've seen happen before, where he was just hitting the right spot and it killed him instantly. Um, Scared the living shit out of all of these people, because there were people there that had warrants, that had criminal histories, that, were afraid that they were
Mm-hmm.
going to face consequences. And so I do feel like Adam was just really a victim of self-preservation
Mm-hmm.
for a lot of people. I do feel that two males drove his body out as far out onto the desert as they could get it, and just left him out there. I feel like they put him under some rocks and left him. It was 100% accidental, and probably no one would have been charged anyway. But that's exactly what did happen. And I mean, Gary basically alluded to it to his
Mm-hmm.
sister, that he was, involved in a fight where other people were also, and he was
Yeah.
trying to, protect people that he cared about, and he was killed so abruptly and accidentally. It was such a shock
Mm-hmm.
to everyone around him when it happened, that they didn't know what to do. They
Mm-hmm.
were a bunch of kids and they freaked out,
Yeah.
and obviously, we already know they were out on the Arizona desert, which,
Mm-hmm.
if they could ever do a full survey of the desert out in Arizona, I think
Mm.
they would find literally hundreds of bodies.
Right.
Because
Well,
we
and
already
they
know
did
that that's
search. Yeah, they searched like a 25-mile radius or maybe further on quads. They did do their due diligence,
right.
but this is a vast area.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's huge. It's
Mm-hmm.
huge, and there are rock formations, and and plus there's also predators. I mean, there's
Oh yeah.
if you're gonna hide a body, this is the place to do it.
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah.
And they were gone all night. They got him out as far as they could get him, and
Mm-hmm.
then came home, and the plan was to pretend like they thought he came home on his own, and
Mm-hmm.
that no one knows where he is. I mean, it's so pretty clear. I mean, it may not feel like much of a
Mm-hmm.
reading, but it is what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And it's awful for
Ew.
his family. It's really unfair that
Yeah.
that they don't just nobody fesses up and just says, "Look, this is what happened."
Do you think at some point someone will?
No, I don't. I don't. Unfortunately, I feel like those that were involved have had more legal issues throughout their lives, and that fessing up now would just create more problems for themselves, and they're just not going to do that.
Mm-hmm. Well, that sucks. And hopefully at some point, maybe somebody tells somebody who tells somebody. That might be the only way,
Hmm.
you know.
I
You
feel
never
like
know.
Gary was kind of trying to do that, but
Mm-hmm.
didn't know what to say. Like, they sort of felt like they needed to show up and say something, but they
Mm-hmm.
didn't know what to say. Like it,
Yeah.
dumb kids in a scary situation, and they
Mm-hmm.
just didn't know what to do.
Yep. Oh, it's a really sad one. And his sisters are being so brave, and trying so hard to get his face out there and his message out there. So,
I think, though, that the really important thing to remember here that I'm seeing is that no one killed him on purpose. This
yeah.
wasn't an intentional murder. And I feel like his family, for them to find some peace in it, to realize that nobody killed their brother. He died accidentally. And, there was no malice, there was no intent other than self-preservation after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
I hope could bring somebody some peace
Mm-hmm.
that, it's not like somebody killed him on purpose. They didn't end his life on purpose. It just,
No,
you get a group of guys fighting, and this just happens sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
There's just a place on somebody's head that if you hit him right in that right spot, you're going to kill him instantly. And that's just what happened.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you drop them onto a rock and they hit their head in just that place.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
All righty. Well, thank you for that. And I have put links from our sources in the show description. I also put a link for the TikTok. For the TikTok, it is Justice for Adam Castillo. And so if you're TikTokers, go follow them. Just go follow them and support them and keep an eye on what they're doing. They're really trying hard, and they're getting a little steam and getting a little attention, and that's what they
I
need.
hope someone at least comes to them privately and says, look, I saw what happened. This is what happened. Give them something.
Something.
Because I don't think
it's so cruel.
In this particular case, I'm not sure that justice is served by criminal charges other than hiding the body and not telling the truth about what happened.
Right.
Definitely,
Lying about it for the last 14 years.
But did anyone kill him intentionally? No, they didn't.
No, just idiots. Yeah.
Yeah, just doing dumb stuff, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. Very, very unfortunate.
Yeah.
Well, much love to Adam's family. Most definitely. Yep. All righty. Well, I am going to turn the mic over to you for a dose of weird crime.
All right, here we go. Do you know why serial killers are serial killers?
No. Is this a joke?
Well, me either. However, there's a lot of work being done in neuroscience to try to figure it out. Figuring out inside the mind of a serial killer, why do serial killers have some particular traits? Serial killers tend to lack empathy and they lack guilt. They also know how to be superficially charming, and they know what to do and say to lure potential victims in.
Mm-hmm.
And one thought around this for a long time has been that serial killers are of two minds. Like there's the rational self that can navigate the world, and then there's this sinister self that's, capable of terrible crimes and stuff. And that's, multiple personalities or dissociative identity disorder or whatever. We really know now that that's not true. That really isn't the case. But what does happen in a serial killer's brain that is difficult to fathom is that they can override their own emotional responses of empathy when other people are experiencing pain or suffering. Like when you empathize with someone who's feeling pain that you've felt before, or that you can imagine feeling, right? That serial killers seem to be able to override that. Well, in a recent brain imaging study, there's been some information come forward that some criminal psychopaths had a decreased connectivity, so not as much action between the amygdala, and that's the part of the brain that processes negative stimuli and things like fearful reactions. And the prefrontal cortex. And the prefrontal cortex interprets responses from the amygdala. So the amygdala basically is the area of pain and fear. And the prefrontal cortex interprets information from the amygdala. And the connection between those two areas of the brain, not super good in some well-known psychopaths.
Interesting.
So we are slowly starting, and it's going to be different with everybody because, of course, a lot of it is about upbringing and experiences of abuse and stuff like that as well. But it's the beginning of, there's been this idea of is there a serial killer brain, And lots of serial killers' brains have been donated to science to try to
Yeah.
figure out, like, what made Ted Bundy, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
So anyway, I thought this was kind of interesting, the idea
Yeah.
that the ability to actually, like, feel fear and pain and negative, stimuli is reduced in people, who are serial killers. So,
Mhm.
interesting. Just
Wow.
thought that was kind of a cool
That
new
is
thing.
interesting. Yeah, it
I
is.
I'm surprised you didn't have the answer of what makes a serial killer a serial killer. I mean, come on.
I Right?
Isn't that the question that all true crimers have? Isn't that why we do what we do?
Yeah.
Trying to
Yes.
figure this shit out?
That's why we dive into their backgrounds and their
Yeah,
families and, everything all the above. Yeah. Wow.
exactly.
That is wild.
Yeah,
Wow. Thank you for that. We'll keep an eye on
you're so
that.
welcome.
That's
Yeah, gonna keep an
emerging
eye on that.
science. So, yeah,
Mhm.
very cool. Well, this is our Monday case. We are going to be back tomorrow with our Tuesday case. We'll be back Wednesday with a regular case, and then we'll be back Wednesday night for case updates. We'll be back Thursday night for the psychic hour. Now, don't forget that the cold read party has been moved to the third Tuesday of the month, starting this
Yes.
month.
Yes, it
So it
has.
was on the second. That's been moved to the third because of our schedules. So that needed to
Mhm.
happen. So it won't be this Tuesday. It will be the following Tuesday. But if you are interested in the cold read party, just join our membership for our subscription here on YouTube, or on YouTube if you're listening to the podcast. Uh, it's $4.99 a month to just do the cold read party. And when you do that, you get to come to a special live that we do once a month where you get to give us a case and we'll cold read it for you. So
Yes.
write up a little paragraph so that we have the deets that we need and come to the cold read party and we'll read whatever case is burning in your brain. We'd love to.
Yeah. Yeah, those are
Really
fun.
fun. Yeah. And don't forget that we are over on Patreon. And if you sign up for the Patreon, there's a few different levels of membership, but you get extra content that way.
Yeah.
And we've been doing Patreon now for 2 years, almost 2 years. And so there's quite a
Mhm.
bit of extra content over there now.
There surely
So
is, yeah.
go check it out. A lot of cases that you guys ask us to do, we have done, and they're in Patreon. There's a
Yeah.
bunch of them. So that's if that's of interest to you, it's just True Crime Paranormal on Patreon, and we would love that. We appreciate your support over on Patreon very much. So
Mhm.
there you have it. Well, all righty. We've done DNA for the win. We've done the disappearance of Adam Castillo, and we've done some weird crime time. And I think we're
Mhm.
done. So thank you, Kristi, and thank you everyone for being here and listening or watching. This has been yet another production of True Crime Paranormal with the Psychic Sisters. Take care.
Bye, everybody.